Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to my review of tonight's edition of Monday Night Raw. And tonight's Raw was held from Jacksonville Veterans Memorial Arena in Jacksonville, Florida. And another horrible Raw was, in my opinion. Just these Raw shows have been getting worse and worse every week. And we're only 2 weeks away from SummerSlam. Oh man, but it was a horrible Raw tonight, in my opinion. But the show opened up with Kurt Angle and Constable Baron Corbin coming out. Kurt Angle says, it will be a historic night tonight because Ronda Rousey is going to make her in-ring debut on Raw. He says, whether Ronda will win tonight or if she will beat Alexa Bliss at SummerSlam, he says Ronda will be a champion in his book. And he goes on to say that he wishes he could say the same for Brock Lesnar. And Corbin ends up telling Kurt to watch it. And Kurt says, he's a man of his word. And since, Paul Heyman got Brock Lesnar to come down to the ring last week, he says Paul Heyman's job is still intact. And that he's going to have a sit-down interview tonight with Renee Young. Roman Reigns ends up coming out, of course. Roman comes out saying to Kurt Angle that he respects Kurt as the Raw general manager, and that if Kurt kicks the big dog out, who's going to protect the yard? And he says nobody, and that's why Brock Lesnar F5'd Kurt Angle last week. And Kurt Angle ends up cutting Roman off and says nobody likes Lesnar for what he did last week. Roman ends up telling Kurt not to suspend Lesnar or postpone their SummerSlam match, which I really hoped it would be it would have been postponed. So I don't want to see Roman versus Lesnar for a third time. So Kurt Angle says he made sure Brock Lesnar wouldn't get suspended, and Roman Reigns will still get his shot at SummerSlam. And Kurt says to him he hopes Roman kicks Lesnar's ass at SummerSlam. And so Corbin ends up saying to Kurt that that was really unprofessional of him to say that as general manager, and he can't pick sides or favorites. And so Corbin says to Kurt that Stephanie is commissioner. And, Kurt just makes the matches with, Corbin to watch over him. Because, Kurt Angle, he says Kurt Angle can't be trusted. And so Kurt Angle then tells a referee to come out. And he makes a match between Roman Reigns and Constable Baron Corbin. So before the match starts, Corbin ends up cheap shotting Roman. Roman then gets back up, and Roman just Superman punches Corbin. Raw goes to commercial, and then when Raw came back from the commercial, it was the match. It was Roman Reigns versus Constable Baron Corbin. It was a decent match, but it went on forever. It felt like it went on forever. There was at one point in the match where Finn Balor, almost at the end of the match, Finn Balor ends up coming out because Baron Corbin was retreating out of the ring. He didn't want to, he didn't want to be in the match no more, so he just got out of the ring and went on the stage. Was walking back up the stage to the back, and then out came Finn Balor. Finn Balor, tried to block Corbin from going to the back, and it led to Roman ended up handing a Superman punch to Corbin on the floor, and then it led to Roman hitting the Superman punch. No, not the Superman punch. The spear to Corbin to score the win. So Roman Reigns ends up winning the match, which we all knew. We all knew that Roman was going to win the match, and Roman ended up getting cheered again tonight. There were people that booed Roman, but you could tell WWE in their production truck, you could tell they lowered down. Once again, they lowered down the audio of the people booing Roman, and they cranked up the volume to get the cheers for Roman, which is fucking ridiculous, because they're trying so hard to make people get behind Roman, and it's not fucking working. When is WWE gonna acknowledge that making the fans try to get behind Roman is not fucking working? And the best part of this match, gonna show the best part that happened at the end of the match. I'm gonna show you. Sorry about that, but I was saying the best part that happened after this match, and it was hilarious, and I really liked it, and it was this right here. This girl just puts her hand, back in. She didn't want to get a high five from Roman. That's savage right there. That's hilarious. So that's what happened after the match. That girl was fucking savage. I never would have expected that to happen. But that was the best part that happened after that match. So, but all in all, Roman versus Constable Baron Corbin, it was a decent match. Although it went on, felt like it went on forever. So then we had Kurt Angle was in his office. Seth Rollins ended up coming in, and he said to Kurt, that he needs to take care of both Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre. Kurt ends up telling Seth to find a partner of his choosing, and him and that partner will take on Drew McIntyre and Dolph Ziggler in a tag team match. So then we had Bobby Roode versus Mojo Rawley. This was a meh match, in my opinion. It was back and forth between Bobby and Mojo. Of course, they're making Mojo. They're trying to build up Mojo to, be an aggressive heel. But Bobby Roode finally ended up getting the win. He ended up hitting the glorious DDT to Mojo. So overall, it was a meh match, in my opinion. Then after that, we had Elias was out, saying, talking about, still promoting his album, and he says, the people, who haven't, gotten it yet, and he tells them that the album is at the top of the charts. So he says last week his documentary came out on the WWE Network, which I haven't seen. I avoided it. And he says, they tried their best, but they got the documentary all wrong. and he says they are going to do the documentary right, but only, you know, his way of doing it. And so, you know, he starts to play his guitar. 3 cameramen are in the ring and circling him, you know, trying to film, you know, trying to do the documentary, you know, his way. And he says to the cameraman, it was really funny, he says to the cameraman to blur out the faces of the crowd and forget that he was in Jacksonville. And so Bobby Lashley ends up coming out because Elias was talking crap about Bobby Lashley, about what Lashley did to him last week. Bobby Lashley comes out, says to Elias, you know, once again, his name came out of Elias's mouth. And, you know, if you know, when he says, you know, his name, he comes right out. And, you know, he gives props to Elias, saying that his documentary wasn't that bad. And Elias says the documentary portrayed him as egotistical and out of thought. He also says he knows why Lashley is out, and it's for, you know, Lashley to steal his spotlight, to steal Elias' spotlight. Elias says Lashley's comeback has been, his comeback to WWE has been nothing but a joke. And he ends up saying, Lashley ends up saying, you know, he thinks everything about Elias is a joke. You know, he goes on to say that his album is a joke, he's a joke, the documentary was a joke. And Lashley ends up saying to Elias, the next time his name comes out of his mouth, it won't be a joke. And so Elias then cheap shots Lashley. Lashley then gets back up because Elias was beating down on Lashley. Lashley gets back up and he gives a spine buster to Elias. Lashley then, what was funny, he orders the camera crew to come in, the 3 camera guys to come in, and he ends up letting the camera guys film Elias, you know, film him giving Elias a vertical suplex. So that was really funny. But the whole segment, it was a waste. It was a waste of time, in my opinion. It was a crappy segment, in my opinion. But this sets up a potential Elias versus Bobby Lashley match. You know that it's going to happen. Sorry about that, but I was saying, you know, they're going to set up for you know, a match with Elias and Bobby Lashley. So it's not, possibly will be on the SummerSlam card. Who knows? I mean, the SummerSlam card is stacked already, and SummerSlam is going to be 7 hours. Yeah, just what we need, 7 hours to sit there, just to sit and, you know, watch a show that it could be decent or it could be a piece of shit. You know, you got 2 hours of the pre-show, which is probably going to start at 5 o'clock. So you got the pre-show for 2 hours, and 7 o'clock is the main show. So this SummerSlam could be, you know, it's 7 hours. This is going to feel like, you know, a WrestleMania. You know how WrestleMania is, how it goes on that long. So which the pay-per-view will probably end by midnight, by 12 o'clock. So after the Elias Bobby Lashley segment, we had Tyler Breeze end up coming in, and he asks Seth Rollins if he can be Seth's partner for tonight to take on Drew McIntyre and Dolph Ziggler. And so Roman ends up coming in and tells Seth he's got Seth's back tonight, and that they do a fist bump. So it's going to be Roman and Seth taking on Drew McIntyre and Dolph Ziggler. But will it? Will it be? I'll get to that in a minute. Then we had Rezar versus Titus O'Neil. Rezar of Authors of Pain versus Titus O'Neil. This match was pretty boring, in my opinion. Shitty match. Still, they're just, they're not doing anything good with Authors of Pain. This was this tag team was one of the most dominant tag teams in NXT, and you bring them up to the main roster, and they're just being wasted. But anyways, Rezar got the win with the spine buster to Titus O'Neil. Shitty match, in my opinion. Then after that, we had the return of the Kevin Owens show. It's been a while since the Kevin Owens show. So Kevin Owens ends up welcoming his guest, Jinder Mahal. He comes out along with Sunil Sin. He ends up calling Jinder Mahal his personal guru, which he also thanks Jinder for his methods, and that he's never been so peaceful and relaxed. Kevin Owens had to go through Braun Strowman, and Owens said at Extreme Rules, after Strowman threw him off the cage, he thought he would wake up in pain. And he goes to say he woke up this morning with no pain. He says he achieved the impossible because he beat Strowman, and that Jinder beat Strowman last week, but it was only a count out win. And Owens tells Jinder that Strowman almost took everything away from him at Extreme Rules, and Owens says he's going to take everything away from Strowman at SummerSlam when he takes the Money in the Bank contract, and he gets a title opportunity, and he wants to take back the Universal Championship. And Owens ends up telling Jinder to take on Strowman again tonight. And Owens calls for Strowman to come out, but Strowman's music doesn't hit. He doesn't come out, and we see the Kevin Owens show set starting to shake, and we find out Braun Strowman was underneath the set, and Strowman then flips the set and flips Kevin Owens and Jinder Mahal and Sunil Sin off of it, which was funny, which was really funny. And so Raw went to commercial. Then when Raw came back from commercial, the match got underway with Jinder Mahal versus Braun Strowman. This wasn't really a match, in my opinion. It was just Kevin Owens just distracting Braun Strowman, taking Strowman's Money in the Bank contract. Strowman just ended up throwing Jinder to the side of the ring, and Kevin Owens just distracting Strowman. So in taking his Money in the Bank contract, Strowman ended up running Kevin Owens off, and led to Jinder Mahal winning the match by disqualification because of Strowman. Sorry about that, but I was saying the match ended in a disqualification. After the match, Strowman got pissed off, and he wanted to take out his aggressiveness on Jinder Mahal, but Jinder ended up running away. And so we saw Sunil have the Money in the Bank contract, and Strowman ended up booting Sunil, and that pretty much ended what happened after the match. But Jinder versus Braun again wasn't a match. It was crap. And we saw Constable Corbin, Baron Corbin, on the phone. He was on the phone with Stephanie. He ends up giving Kurt Angle the phone for Kurt to talk to Stephanie. We didn't know what what was going on with what Stephanie told Kurt. So then Drew McIntyre and Dolph Ziggler ended up coming out for the match with Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns. But will it be Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins taking on Drew McIntyre and Dolph Ziggler? Well, Kurt Angle ended up approaching Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns. Corbin says to Roman he is forbidden to be Seth's partner tonight because Roman was in a match tonight against Corbin. And this was all under what Stephanie wanted. And Roman says he doesn't care what Stephanie says. So Corbin says if Roman doesn't follow Stephanie's orders, he forfeits his match at SummerSlam. And Seth ends up saying he'll figure something out. And then Corbin ends up telling Seth his match is happening next. And if he can't find a replacement, if Seth can't find a replacement for Roman, the match will be a handicap match. And so Roman ends up coming back, and he asks Corbin if his ribs are okay. And then we just see Roman then punch Corbin in the ribs. So pretty much that's what happened backstage. So Seth wasn't able to get a replacement. So the match ended up being a 2-on-1 handicap match. Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre versus Seth Rollins. And the match itself, it was a decent match. I mean, Seth Rollins has been going at it with Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre since the middle of June, in my opinion. So that's what's been happening. So, but it was a decent match. Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre got the win because Dolph ended up hitting the super kick to Seth Rollins. So Dolph and Drew win the match. All in all, it was a decent match. Then we had the B team, Curtis Axel and Bo Dallas versus the Revival. The B team was given new music, which fucking sucks. Why did they need to change their music? With this new B team music that they have right now, sounds like a fucking high school homecoming song. Yeah, just all they need is to bring out the cheerleaders now, because it's like, B team go, B team go, something like that. But whatever their stupid, shitty new entrance song is. Sounds like fucking high school, like a fucking high school homecoming song. Yeah, just throwing, like I said, throwing some cheerleaders in there to do the whole cheer during their new entrance song. It's fucking garbage. It was garbage. What, they did not need to have new music. They did not need to give them new music. But anyways, this match was meh. Wasn't that good of a match. I mean, the Revival. When are these guys gonna be Raw Tag Team Champions? When are they gonna put the titles on the Revival? But match ended in a no contest because Matt Hardy and Bray Wyatt appear. Apparently, Axel and Wilder were taken out, and so Matt and Bray end up taking out Scott Dawson and Bo Dallas. Bray ended up laying out Bo Dallas with the Sister Abigail. So Bray laid out his brother with the Sister Abigail. So, but match ended in a no contest. It was a meh match. Then we have Renee Young interview Paul Heyman about last week and where he and Brock Lesnar stand now. Heyman ends up telling Renee that he and Lesnar have not spoken since last week, and Lesnar doesn't want to take any of Heyman's phone calls. And so Renee Young asks Paul Heyman if he considers Brock Lesnar a friend of his. Paul Heyman ends up saying yes. And he ends up telling Renee that, their families are close. And Paul Heyman ends up saying he doesn't know if Lesnar still needs him. Renee asks Heyman, who will win at SummerSlam? Will it be Brock Lesnar or Roman Reigns? Paul Heyman ends up telling her he knows Brock Lesnar for 16 years, and he's never seen Brock like this. More driven and focused and violent. And he ends up saying to Renee that Roman won't stand a chance with Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam. So, I mean, it was a pretty good sit down. It was a good sit down interview with Paul Heyman. You could tell, Paul Heyman, wasn't really that in the mood to have this interview because of what happened last week with Lesnar. He looked kind of sad, to be honest. So then we have, once again, just like last week, Sarah Logan and Liv Morgan, the Riott Squad, versus Boss and Hug Connection, Sasha Banks and Bayley. This match was a typical women's match, in my opinion. You had at one point, towards the end of the match, where Bayley was going to take out Liv Morgan on the floor. Some person moves Liv Morgan out of the way. She was wearing a black hoodie, and it's revealed that the person who saved Liv Morgan was Ruby Riott, which I knew was going to be Ruby Riott, and I was like, wow, Ruby's back. I'm happy to see Ruby back. I mean, she was out with an injury, and she healed up that quick. Which is insane. And it gave Sarah Logan the chance to pin Sasha. So the Riott Squad ends up winning the match. But really happy to see Ruby Riott back. Kind of miss seeing Ruby. Since it was just Sarah and Liv there. So, but all in all, it's your typical women's match. I mean, Sasha and Bayley, they did pretty decent. And then we had the main event, which was first time Ronda Rousey competing on Raw in her Raw in-ring debut versus Alicia Fox. And before the match, Charlie Caruso ended up interviewing Alicia Fox. Alexa cuts Charlie off and says, you know, she said to Charlie that all night, she had all night to think of a question. And all night she thought of a question about Ronda. And Alicia says to Charlie that Ronda must still be banged up about last week. And they end up showing the clip of when, you know, Alicia, you know, took out Ronda last week, threw her into the barricade. Then Alicia ends up taking over and, you know, taking over the interview and says, you know, Ronda was not the captain of the Survivor Series team. Alicia was, you know, if you remember last year. And Alexa ends up thanking Alicia for her contributions, and, you know, it goes to every woman, you know, in the locker room, besides Ronda Rousey. So she ends up saying Ronda is not fit to challenge her for the title, but she will deal what's left of Ronda in Brooklyn at SummerSlam. And Alexa then asks Alicia if she's going to let some rookie steal her thunder. And Alicia says, absolutely, absolutely not. And so Ronda Rousey ended up coming out, of course, with Natalya by her side. And the match itself, it was quick. It was a quick match. I knew this was going to be a quick match because the time this match got started, it was already 11:04. It was like 11:04, 11:05, like around there when Raw supposedly goes off the air. But you know, most of the time they go overtime with the show. So it was basically just Alicia just going out of the ring, and we had Alexa getting involved in the match. We had one point where Rousey got the upper hand in the match and started throwing those jabs at Alicia, which was those furious jabs, and the crowd really enjoyed that. The crowd really came, really shined for this match. But Ronda Rousey ended up winning the match. She ended up putting Alicia with the arm. She ended up putting Alicia in the armbar. Alicia ended up tapping out. So Ronda Rousey ends up winning. But it was a quick match. I mean, Ronda continues to be impressive in the ring. So then after the match, Charlie Caruso interviews Ronda. Ronda ends up thanking everyone for watching, and she ends up saying it feels great to focus on SummerSlam. And then Alexa comes from behind on Ronda, she ends up pulling Ronda's hair, and it leads to Ronda doing the judo flipping to Alexa on the floor. Ronda gets on the mic and says to Alexa, it doesn't matter how tight she holds the title, how tight Alexa holds the title, because at SummerSlam, Ronda's going to be taking the title. Is what she says. She's taking the title from Alexa, and she ends up spiking the mic to the mat, which was really crazy. So. And that pretty much ended Raw tonight. After that, with Ronda. So, but all in all, Ronda versus Alicia. It was a quick match. Ronda was impressive with the jabs and taking down Alicia Fox. So, but yeah. So, anyways, that's it for my review of tonight's edition of Monday Night Raw. Thank you all for watching, and be sure to give this video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, and until tomorrow for my SmackDown review, which will be up tomorrow. So I'll see you all tomorrow for my SmackDown review.